So the big news today is that Jack Doohan is going to be booted for Colapinto. Now, as usual, the British magazines are like, "Oh, this is so we feel so bad for him, and is it fair that he's getting rid of?" They're trying to justify why they're getting rid of him. They say, "Oh, well, he's had a few crashes, blah blah blah." But last year, as soon as Colapinto was free, they said the news was already saying he's going to replace Doohan after 6 races. And what is it? This is Doohan's 6th race, right? A lot of people said that, oh, well, Doohan, his contract allows him to have 6 races, but most likely he'll be replaced. That's what they said 6 months ago. Now they're acting surprised that they say, oh, they're getting rid of him because he has made mistakes. No, they're getting rid of him because they signed him as a reserve driver. But once Colapinto came on the market with all the money he gets from South America, with the nice hair he has, and like the white girls love him and the Mexican girls love him, all of that brings in money. And on top of that, the leader of the team is, what's his name? What's his first name? Briatore. You know his first name.
Flavio Briatore.
That boy is a bad boy. Almost went to jail for fraud. This is the same guy who told PK to crash into someone to help Alonso win a race. This goes to show you what type of person he is. So he basically is taking over and he was banned from F1 for life. And then they brought him back.
Wow.
This goes to show you he was banned for life because of it. Yeah, he was banned, but F1 brought him back. F1 is a circus. Then they bring him back, and when Flavio Briatore comes to a team, it means he's the person that's going to gut the team and sell it. So what he's doing is he's bringing Colapinto, fine boy, who started off very well, got some points early in the year, but then he started crashing. When he started crashing, Red Bull said, we don't want him anymore. But once Briatore saw that he was coming, he brings in hundreds of millions of dollars. So my argument is that Doohan was set for failure from the beginning, and now they're trying to make it look like, oh, we feel so sorry for him. Let's explain why he was kicked out, trying to give technical reasons. The real reason they're getting rid of him is because it's about money. And also, I would say he and Colapinto are equal. So since they're equal in talent, might as well choose the other person who brings in more money. What do you think, Mr. Johnny? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Colapinto and Doohan as guy from down under, and then the pizza guy, you know. Well, they probably looked at the whole thing, you know. They compared Doohan, they compared Colapinto, and they saw that Colapinto is more marketable, and then he has more experience. And one more thing, then Flavio Briatore is behind him. So hey, so now
once Briatore is behind you, that's the godfather.
You know, Colapinto, I think he had a few races last year. He appeared in Formula 1 last year, so the experience is there. That's probably that's one thing they're heading for, you know. And Doohan has really had a really shitty race. I mean, everything has gone bad. Everything that could go bad has gone bad for him. He might, I don't know if they give him a chance in Imola, if he might show up, you know, and then start showing up. But I think
Colapinto's gonna be in Imola. Yeah. But what's funny is that as soon as they signed Colapinto, the word on the street was that Doohan has to get at least 6 races as a starting driver. That's his contract. But the idea was that most likely after that he would go unless he can prove himself. But I think that it's probably, I don't think they're wrong for putting Colapinto in there because this is a business, and also Colapinto is a good driver. But I do think that it's wrong for them to set up Doohan like this and then try to scapegoat him after the fact. And then also he was a dead man walking. I think they made a mistake. See, the problem with Alpine is that they're disorderly. Because Ocon and Gasly didn't get along, they sent Ocon packing. Then immediately they signed Doohan to a long contract. I think they should have kept Doohan at his contract and take it day by day and say, hey, we're not signing a long contract with you until you prove yourself. But they got his hope up. They signed him. His dad's there. And then everybody's watching every race. They're like, let's see what Doohan does, because if he messes up, we're going to bring in Colapinto. So it's like they set him up for failure, put too much pressure on him. And before I go to Kunle, one other thing they're doing in F1 now, just like they did with what's his name, Lawson, they're bringing in these young guys here, and they're not giving them driving coaches or giving them people who manage them well. Like Doohan made the mistake with his putting his DRS, which caused the crash, and he had other crashes. These drivers aren't getting support. Even Leclerc doesn't get support. It's like there's no money in F1 now for the drivers. They're just trying to figure out things on their own. But you see someone like Verstappen, who was trained by his dad, who was an F1 driver and who has a lot of technical work. So I think they need to start mentoring these young guys more instead of just throwing them behind these cars like that. What do you think, Kunle, about the whole situation?
Yeah, well, I think I'd like to see sort of the mercy that was handed to, was it Lawson that swapped with the other car, with the Tsunoda?
Swapped, yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So at least Lawson, So at least Lawson is still in Formula One. And it would have been nice to see maybe even when Doohan gets dropped, maybe he gets to swap with Colapinto. That would have been a kinder result. At least he's still in the races.
Yeah, well, I think what
so
happened was
that
that
remains to be seen.
Colapinto was a reserve driver, so I think the best that Doohan can get is a reserve driver. If I were him, I would take that for now. But there's another problem. F1 is getting too loaded. You got Kimi Antonelli, who's 18. That's so good. Then you've got guys like Alonso and Hamilton who are taking up spaces. Those guys need to retire. So there's not available seats anymore. And then even this guy will be back with Cadillac. What's his name? Checo. Checo will be back because of his money. See, this is the thing. Checo and Colapinto come from South America, and those South Americans are loyal to their drivers, so they bring in millions of dollars. So what are your thoughts, Kunle? I see what you're saying, though, but it's very unfortunate for Doohan. I'm just hoping that at least he can be a reserve driver, and there can be chances for him to move, because I feel bad for him. What do you think, Kunle?
Yeah, I also feel bad for him. He's not had a good season. He's had a crash in Japan, from what I see. And I think he's had another DNF,
not necessarily a crash. There was a DRS crash, then he crashed into Lawson. He has at least 2 crashes this year. But also, Colapinto had 3 crashes. Last year, they were calling Colapinto the next, sorry.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Colapinto. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Colapinto has shown an ability to overtake other cars. That shows.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But what I was going to say was that Colapinto was supposed to be the next. Yeah. Before we go to Johnny, you're right, Kunle. The point I was going to make was that before Colapinto crashed, I think he had 2 or 3 crashes. They were calling him the next Senna because he got points in his first race, but then he got crashes, and that's why Williams dropped him. And then Red Bull was supposed to take him, but after he crashed, they said they didn't want him. Then when all of that happened, Alpine said, you know what, we'll take him. So it's funny how it's like a musical chairs. What were you going to say, Mr. Johnny? Then we'll get back to Kunle.
Well, Colapinto better. He better come up with some results, because it might just be the same thing again, that kind of thing.
He's always taking pictures with women. He better focus on the track, man.
Yeah, and then up to the point about all these young boys being thrown into the mix nowadays. It's even with football, Look at Chelsea, my lovely Chelsea. We don't. We only like them young. We like young things and like that. And you look at even Man U.
That's what she said.
You sound like Uncle. You sound like Uncle Shay Chat and Chop Shay.
Yeah. So everybody's like, look at Barcelona, 17-year-old dude, moving balls and stuff like that.
I don't think it's healthy for these kids starting them this young, man. I don't think it's healthy.
Yeah, I think it's just the era that we are in right now. Now it's like everything has to happen right now. I want it right now,
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We're gonna see where it's going to lead. What's going to happen?
Yeah. But, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's going to be exciting because the ratings will be very high at Imola. And here's how F1 is. Briatore is from Italy. And now this kid,
so it's going to gather
and Colapinto. Colapinto, Argentina and Italy have a strong connection to a lot of the immigrants. So it seems like everything is scripted in F1. So this is going to, and everybody's going to watch because I want to see Colapinto, and also all the young white girls want to see him too. What are your last? What are you going to say, Mr. Johnny?
And Doohan is from Australia, and then if you compare personalities and guys, look at Colapinto, even his name Colapinto. And then when you hear Doohan, the girls, and then you see Colapinto with his curly hair, and then the girls will flock to him, like that. You have Doohan like from down under with his boomerang and kangaroo. I don't know, so they don't want that,
Very quickly, before we go to Kunle, this is why let's see why the British are mad, because this guy is also Australian. Sorry, Kunle. This guy is also Australian, Piastri. And they're not celebrating Piastri. They keep on trying to say, we hope that Norris can recover. This is how biased sports is. But Kunle, what's your point? What are you going to say?
Yeah, that's British teams for you. I think Colapinto is potentially a better driver than Doohan. But then again, the other problem is that he has to get used to the car, though. So we might not necessarily see it that early. I think that he should have had maybe Miami to get used to the car, because Imola is an exciting racetrack. It has lots of overtaking, and it's not a dull track. So I would have liked, but Colapinto is now using that race to get used to the car.
And they could have at least put him in a couple of free practices,
Yes. So let's see how he goes. If Doohan isn't going to be replaced, I don't know who's going to take up his new space.
No, Doohan is so what happens is Doohan was the driver. Colapinto was a reserve driver. He wasn't on any team. So now that this is going, I don't know what's going to happen. Either they're going to have to keep Doohan as a reserve driver in their team or a test driver. They can have up to 3 or 4 reserve drivers. But in general, it looks like his F1 career is over. And part of the reason his F1 career is over. Remember Drogovic also for who does Drogovic drive for?
I think also because Gasly is doing so much better than.
Gasly is untouchable. Gasly is untouchable. He's untouchable. You can't touch Gasly. He's the man. And Gasly is almost as good as those guys like Leclerc and co. But that team is in disorder in general. All right, so we'll go one last thought from everybody. What's your last thoughts, Mr. Johnny?
Yeah, well, I was actually surprised to see Flavio Briatore when I was like looking up Colapinto, and I saw Flavio. I was like, as soon as I saw Flavio, I was like, oh, okay, I know what
I smell a rat.
Yeah, so I see a lot of scheming and so on going on. I like what you said about Alpine might be sold or up for sale or something like that. So it's all a marketing strategy, the way I see it. Let's hope it's not going to, because Formula One is about racing.
These are human beings.
At the end of the day, Formula One is about racing, even though I know many people have turned it into something else, but so if Colapinto doesn't race well, then it's going to be the same old thing again too. So let's see. I'm just going to see how it goes. I'm actually interested.
And I hope that when Colapinto comes in, they give him the support cast to improve as a driver, which I said, they're not giving these young men support. A lot of these young guys,
Imola is this weekend.
No, Imola is next weekend.
Imola is this weekend?
Next weekend. Okay,
not this weekend, next weekend.
Yeah, we have one break. Oh, I'm so sad. What am I going to do now?
Johnny is going to be around. You'll be around for Imola.
Yeah, what time am I going to
I'll be around for Imola.
Pandora's
Johnny, you should join us for our football show, Niger United. We do it on Fridays, Niger United. You should join us on our football show, Johnny.
Yes,
Niger United.
Pandora's box has been restocked for Imola.
Imola. That's going to be a big one. So last thoughts, Kunle, and also Kunle, you can take us out. Yeah, good show, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's been a good show. We've enjoyed talking about the removal of Doohan, the replacement with Colapinto. Looking forward to Imola, where the Formula One circus moves on to, and let's see whether these changes are going to make this race more exciting. We need excitement in Formula One. We need lots of drama and crashes and fighting and kicking and screaming, and let's hope that we get lots of that and even more.
Oh, you're talking about the Colapinto girls fighting each other over over them.
Everybody fighting is going to be a rodeo.
All right, guys. Thank you. Nice one. We'll talk later. Good show. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right. Good show, guys.